All right, guys, today is Friday, May 27th, 2022. So this is the first time that I get back to work on my square body pickup engine swap or engine overhaul. I haven't decided yet. For pretty much about a week. It has rained for a week straight. So, man, I got to tell you, I'm tired of rain. I'm tired of it. I know there's other areas in the world that needs it, but I think we've had enough here at my place. So, I'm gonna get started on this thing today. Finally, it is already getting hot and muggy because of all the rain, and then all of a sudden it's sunny. I'm gonna really need to mow, but I'm not gonna be able to do that because this is pretty much gonna be a swamp out here. So I'm gonna have to wait a couple days for it to dry out. Now it looks like we do have dry weather for at least, a few days, so I hopefully can get the engine and trans out of this truck. But I got a lot more disassembly to do. I'm not pulling the hood off. I'm just gonna pull the engine up and pull it straight out, engine and trans both with the hood still in it. I've done it before on a square body. Easy to do if you have an engine hoist, a cherry picker, whatever you want to call it. So I do have a pretty big list of parts in my cart at Summit. I'm gonna buy some of the stuff from there because they have free shipping. If you get over 100 bucks, which there's over 100 bucks there, but there are more things I'm going to have to buy down here at my local O'Reilly's. But hopefully in a week or two I'll have this thing back running. I was wanting to, if I ever pulled the engine out of this, I wanted to pressure wash the frame and clean it up real nice and just spray paint the frame rails and all that, but I don't know if I'm actually going to do that. This truck, I really just need it to be back together and running and driving and stuff. So I'm going to focus on getting the engine out. And then I have decided I am going to go ahead and tear this engine apart, at least the oil pan off of it, and start pulling a lot of the mains and rod caps. I want to see what kind of shape the bottom end's in on this. If that crank is in not too bad a shape, I may go ahead and just try to do a home polish on the crankshaft, and rehone the cylinders and put a new set of rings in it, new set of rod bearings, new set of main bearings. I'm just, I gotta see when I get it apart. I do feel like this engine's had something done to it because it has brass freeze plugs in it, and that is not stock. So I'm hoping that the knock this had was the loose crank pulley. So I mean, it could be, who knows. The oil pressure gauge that the truck has is a factory gauge, and they never read correct anyway, but there was only one piece of wire left on the factory spade to go to that sending unit, and it could be causing it to not read correctly, you know what I mean? I mean, who knows? But just gonna have to take it apart and see. But if this engine will take an overhaul, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. It does smoke when you start it, and it does use oil, so I'm kind of leaning toward it's probably valve guides or something. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to know until I get it broke apart. But, I can pull a few valve springs off of one of the heads once I get it off, and I can check the play in the valves in their guides to see how wobbly they are. I have another set of 58cc 305 center bolt heads here that I think are pretty fresh. So if anything, I may clean those up, relap the valves, and put new valve seals on those if they're tighter in the valve guide area. So it's going to be a lot of work, but at the end of it, I should have a pretty solid heart transplant going on here for the truck. No more marking its territory in the driveway and having that self-lubricating chassis option. Lots of fun headed my way. I got to tell you, I really don't want to work on the truck, man. I want to work on my hardtop. That's it. But the reality is, it's a week or two job to work on the truck if it's not raining, having to work on it in the driveway, versus trying to finish out my two-door hardtop 55, which I'm dying to do. The very next step after I get the truck up running and back together, I'm going to go ahead and pull the 400 out, and I'm going to completely disassemble it and check everything over. Everybody's giving me lots of tips on what I should check for before I pull the engine, and I've already done all that. I've already knocked on the flex plate. I've already checked the flex plate bolts. I've already checked the harmonic balancer Woodruff key and make sure that's not, you know, broken or something causing it to knock on there. When I pumped up all the lifters and everything in the engine with the drill, I pushed on the rocker arms down on the lifters, and they seem to be holding stout. So I don't know what the heck is going on. It's a brand new roller cam kit. If it's got bad lifters, I mean, it's not out of the ordinary for something to be brand new but bad, but it's just a testament of if that's what it is, of the garbage that's on the market today that's overpriced and overrated type of thing. So I can tell you I'm about to the point of getting this engine out of here and putting a stock set of GM heads back on this, and just a hydraulic flat tappet with just some old weak valve springs, and just use it as a stock 406, because I have found lately that all this aftermarket performance crap has done nothing but create problems. So I just don't know yet. I'm gonna wait and see. I can tell you I was thinking about putting a brand new Goodwrench 350 in here. I was going to credit card a brand new Goodwrench crate motor 350 and put in here. Apparently they don't make them no more, because Summit don't have them and Jigs don't have them. So what's up with that? I could see how they wouldn't be very popular anymore with the LS platforms going on, but that was my idea, is to go ahead and just buy a stock engine to stick in here and start enjoying the car and driving it, because I'm to that point. I'm tired of doing this crap over and over and over. So I've got some work to do, but I am going to take this apart and check everything over. But it's definitely not happy, that's for sure. But I got to have a daily, you know, pretty much, because like tomorrow my dog has an appointment at the groomer in Catoosa, and I have to borrow my mom and dad's car tomorrow to take her over there, and then they usually have her a couple hours, and then, you know, I'll have to come home and then drive back over there in a couple hours to pick her up. So it's pretty inconvenient to have to borrow somebody's car, but I do appreciate them doing that. But, you know, I really need to get this thing fixed. So, which will be nice. You know, I won't be having to add oil to it all the time anymore, and hopefully the air conditioning new stuff that I put on will have the AC back fixed again. So, I'm gonna get started. I got a lot to do, man. A whole lot to do. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and knock out this alternator here. So I talked about this in one of my earlier videos. This is a reman alternator I got from O'Reilly's, and it's been a couple years ago now. I went down and got one. They ordered it in, and I put it on the truck. It wouldn't charge, brand new out of the box. So I took it back, exchanged it, and I got one, and it worked. Now lately, it has a little bit of a bearing squeal in it that goes away once the engine gets warmer. It gets warm enough, I guess. So I want to take this apart. Instead of going down and exchanging it and maybe getting one that doesn't work again, I'd rather just knock it apart and check the bearings front and rear. The rear ones are just a cup style roller bearing, and you can put a little grease in there. Maybe they just didn't get enough from the factory or something, I don't know. But the front one's a sealed unit, but I do have one here in an alternator case half that I could replace it with. So I'm going to go ahead and knock this apart, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Well, that bolt wasn't even tight. So anyway, it's usually 5/16, 4 screws here on the case. Tell you what I'm going to do first, though, is I'm going to knock that nut off there real quick. Okay, so has a little spacer on there. A lot of times when you take these apart enough, you'll notice that some of the spacers are a little bit different than from other alternators. It's you know, specifically sized. So, all right, now it's ready to start stripping apart. If you've never rebuilt an SI10 or a 12 alternator, it is very simple to do. Very simple, actually. I usually get my kits off of eBay normally, but in this case, when I got this one, I just decided to go ahead and replace it. That dude is in there now. Oh, that is terrible. I think that seal bearing's fine. It should come out of there, but I may have to whack it with the dead blow. So the rear one might be the one that's not in good shape. I can tell you though, by looking, this is not in good shape right here. This is worn down severely right here. This one's pretty even, but that one's got some mega wear. So I'm gonna see. Finally, I got it. So you got to push it down in there really hard, and then I got to get this started. So what I'm noticing here is I can see this wet spot on this case right here from where their grease they used is too thin, and it gets hot and it just ran out of it. So that is more than likely the problem here. So now I'm going to try to load the other brush back in there, spring and brush combo. Okay, so I got the paper clip shoved in there, and it is holding, if you'll be able to see it, it's coming out right here at the tip, but it's holding back the brush and the springs. So now you can reassemble the back on this, and then once you get it bolted together, you just take that paper clip and yank it out of there, and it goes right back together. So right now I'm going to put a little grease down in that. Little dab will do you, right? That'll probably, this should work for at least, I'd say at least 2 days before it starts squealing again. I mean, okay. I put a little mark on here with a Sharpie on that part and on the other half piece right there. Now it's pretty easy to figure out because you do have this bracket that goes on the back for your long alternator bolt that goes through the big part on that. But instead of trying to figure that out, I got 2 marks that I can just look at, and I know I'm where I need to be. Put them through from the front. bear down on that steel bolt and that aluminum housing. So double check them with the little 1/4 inch ratchet here. Okay, so now all you do is take that out. Your brushes are back on your shaft in there. This piece goes in here. That goes on there. Spacer goes on there. All right, guys, I'm going to show you. I've got a alternator parts in a box here, so I just kind of want to show you this and you can get a better idea of what I was trying to do down inside there. This is a piece that goes in there. This is your brushes that hang off here. Now there's a hole, you know, on the bottom. So you take a spring, stick that in there, and that brush has that copper wire on it right there. And it, see that notch in this plastic piece? That copper wire has to ride through that. So that goes on there just like that. So when you go to stick your paper clip or whatever in there, you got to get it on that side of it like that. And then I just had that other spring. What did I do with that? Try a different one here. But anyway, you'll take your other spring and you'll stick it down in there, and then you'll load that one as well, and then take your cotter pin and shove it up through there, which this one, the hole is broken out there, so this piece is broken. It's probably never used it. But anyway, that paper clip, if that hole's not broke out on the side like this one, holds those back, and then you can get your this part reinstalled back in there, and then when you pull that out, it allows those to come out to that part. So, all right, guys, here is a rebuild kit I have here that I bought off eBay a long time ago. I bought this for my wife's 55 four-door. I have an SI-12 alternator in there that was working. It's just an old used one, and I knew it worked. That's why I kept it hanging around. But I decided that I would go ahead and freshen it up. You know, when I do her engine compartment, I want everything to look good, so I'll take the alternator apart and clean everything, and I'll more than likely paint the case black just so it looks better. I kind of like an alternator that's black for some reason, but you know, all the pulleys and everything's black. I just think it kind of looks good, but I may end up doing it cast aluminum, who knows. But anyway, you can buy a complete kit, usually from eBay. This is where I usually get mine. And pay attention if you get an SI-10 or an SI-12, but this comes with just about everything. Lots of new stuff. It even has the front and rear bearings in there. So everything, brushes, everything I need for a complete overhaul on that thing is right there in that box. And it's like 25 bucks or something. So, you know, that one was working, just had a bearing squeal in it. That's why I just redid that. So to me, I think it's just easier to pop it apart and spend, you know, 15 or 20 minutes fixing it than going and getting another one, warrantying it out, and then maybe not charge like the first one. Thanks for watching. All right, I'm going to start taking some stuff, more stuff off here. All right, now I'm going to try to get the distributor cap off. Need to get my way in there to get the distributor out of the truck. These things are kind of a mess to time if you've never messed with a TBI Chevy before. You basically, when you get this engine back together, you need to have it on 0 on the timing tab, dead 0, and then start it up. But there's a wire over here, a brown wire, and it's to the right of the brake booster on an 87. You know, this is a 1-year only square body TPI truck. Pickup truck. They did carry the Suburban and I think the Blazer on, but And there's a single wire over here, plug-in, and it's taped to the harness. You can't miss it. And it's like a light brown color, a tan color, and it has a black stripe. You want to unhook that, which will set the check engine light on in the truck. But when you plug it back in, the computer puts the timing where it wants. So just remember that. You don't time these old school like like an old school, you know, carbureted one. I actually haven't done one of these since the 90s. I worked in a service center. I remember the one we found was, I want to say it was behind the glove box. It was a 95 or 94 or 96 or something Chevy half-ton pickup. We like to never found that wire. It was a mess. I think the earlier ones, like 92 or something, I think they have a black plastic cover that has a little square or some little plastic nut on there, and you got to take that cover off to get to the wire there. But I kind of figured this when I pulled it off. This is something pretty common also on TBI trucks. You can kind of see the old, how it's kind of wet looking up in here. This is your fuel pressure regulator. There's a diaphragm here. It's always a good idea to replace that. Now, just about any parts store will more than likely in stock have a TBI rebuild kit. It comes with a lot of gaskets and seals and O-rings and stuff like that, so I'm definitely going to have to do that. I'm going to have to replace that diaphragm for sure. That thing it's shot. That, you know, could cause, you know, a rough idle and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and clean everything. It even comes with new screen cups for the injectors and everything. So I'll completely disassemble this. I'm not removing the IAC or the TPS. These were pretty much set where they needed to be, so I'm not going to alter them because I'll have to go back and reset that stuff, and I don't want to mess with it. So another piece added to the list on it, but I'll clean that up and make it look really nice, and you know, put all new seals